Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Secretary, I understand that you have to leave early, but let's get started. Tell me how long you have? All right.
At President's office.
Okay. Right. Would you be kind enough to introduce yourselves?
I am Naimuddin, Secretary, Ministry of Investment Promotion.
Mr. Suzapille, Acting DG of the Commission.
Revan Vikramasuriya, Chief Operating Officer, Colombo Port City Economic Commission.
මම ඒකේ සෙනෙරන්ද බණ්ඩාගාර නියෝජනයක.
Tanuja Pereira, Tax Policy Advisor, Mudala Mitanshe.
Taraka Jayasundra, Assistant Director, Department of Fiscal Policy.
Darshan Vijay Sirivardhana, Director, Department of Fiscal Policy.
Vindhya Veerasekara, Director Legal, Colombo Port City Economic Commission.
Ishara Madarasinghe, State Counsel from Aegis Department.
Avanti Pereira, Deputy Solicitor General, Aegis Department.
Vishaka Elapatha, Adhyaksha Velanda Ha Ayojana Pratipatti Department.
Kushan Samarthunga, Senior Manager IT, Colombo Port City Economic Commission.
Thank you. Before we get to today's matters, I want to go back to the discussion we had last time. Dr. Pereira, you have sent us a letter on the temporary permits issued by the Colombo Port City. Now, we approved those on the basis that there would be some, legalization, quote unquote, of the operations that's currently taking place. We wanted your view, and you had said that you can't really provide a view because you didn't have the necessary documentation. So we had instructed the Secretary to the Ministry to immediately share that information with you. So we would like an update on that, please, before we get started.
Honorable Chair, we received some documents from the Colombo Port City Commission, and unfortunately those documents seem to have raised more questions than answers because they cross-refer many other documents which we need to peruse, and they have raised some questions which go to some of the fundamental aspects, particularly the agreements upon which the leisure activity temporary permits seem to base their validity on. So the validity of the basic agreements seem to be in question. So we need more documents, which I have asked Mr. Vikramasuriya to provide. We'll make a formal request for those documents. Particularly, we cannot give a uniform view on all of the permits because from the documentation made available to us so far, it appears that the sequence of the execution of those agreements show that some have been executed before the commission came in, the act came into operation, some after a so-called master license, some before both of those events took place. So their validity is varied, if at all, if they are valid at all, that is. So I'm with respect, I'm asking for further time for the Attorney General to call for those further documents and then give a considered opinion on the individual permits.
Thank you, DSC, for that clarification. Let me please, hold on a minute, please. Yeah,
Can we know at the same time now, according to the Port City, these can be terminated by 2027? That's what was told. So whether it's possible legally is also something that we need to know in the opinion.
That's noted. But now there are 10 companies operating here, all leisure activities, Investor Event Works and Entertainment Limited, Family Beach Park. It has started on the 22nd of June 2021. Now what does this do? Family Beach Park, what is that?
May I answer those questions, sir?
Please.
Yeah, so the Family Beach Park, all of these activities, correction.
No, just answer this particular
Family Beach Park is a little restaurant serving snacks and food and beverage to people who visit the beach there.
So it has like it has a bunch of huts, or it's like a building, or what is it?
There is a structure there. Some of it
Temporary
is
structure?
yes. It's a structure that will be removed on the due date. There is some cement and concrete. Then there is some.
So who signed on behalf of the company? Because these are not signed by, from what I understand, by the commission. They're by the company, you know.
Check Port City Colombo Private Limited. All these operators are acting as agents or subcontractors for Czech to carry out these leisure activities.
So the DSC explained to us that there are more questions now than answers. I'll come to that. The second one is Lanka Sportisan Clubhouse Water-Based Leisure Sport. What is that?
Again, a little an activity or an operator on the beach. They've got a couple of containerized structures and another little.
So what happens? Like
so they have they rent out kayaks and little boats and dinghies.
So do people come?
Yes, generally.
So is it like full on a weekend, or how does it? I mean, are these popular? I'm just asking.
I believe there are certain days that it's pretty busy. I haven't gone in and understood the current.
So there is
footfall.
no revenue that accrues to the commission on this?
Not at all.
Nothing?
No.
What about the services that you provide to them? Like, utilities, electricity?
They're generally with all generators. They've got their generators.
So
in the
they
power
don't
supply.
they don't use any sort of.
No, all activities.
Water, sewerage?
Water is brought in by Bowsers, that the project company manages. Then there are for sewerage, there are pits there, which are actually sewerage pits
So
that are
there's
pumped out.
no usage of Port City, I mean the commission's utility or
No,
infrastructure, nothing.
No, those utility. Yeah, correct.
Then what is this next one? Esna International Beach Club. What is that?
Esna International not operational yet. Again, there's a concrete or brick and mortar structure looking to again set up.
So this has been signed more than 2 years ago. Why is it not operational? And if that is not operational, why is it still continuing?
The structure is still there. I think due to the COVID issues and stuff like that, they didn't operationalize it.
Next one is One Property Lanka Investments. That's also a beach club. What is that? Is this Angel Beach or whatever?
One Property. Do you mind mentioning the name again, sir?
It's called One Property Lanka Investment Limited Beach Club.
One Property.
Let me go through them.
Yes, okay. Yes, that's also a beach club, again, not operational yet.
Okay. Then Asvaya Holding, equestrian facility.
That's not on the beach, that's inland. They've got a few horses or ponies, crossbred horses, and they.
So what do you mean inland? I thought this was only on the Port City property.
Not on the beach. These other operators are on the beach. This one
it
is.
doesn't matter. What I'm saying is within the
Port City. Absolutely correct.
Tang Dynasty Ceylon Chinese restaurant, Beach Plaza food court.
Yeah, so that's an operator food court as it's mentioned. So it's a relatively larger structure with small locations or sections divided there for individuals to operate various
So people
food
come
courts.
and like order Chinese food, etc.
There is Chinese, Indian, ice cream, shawarmas.
So it has the same tax structure as on the other side of the Gaul Road. Like for instance, VAT.
Yes.
There's no difference.
Absolutely no difference.
So
And they should.
if I go in there, order a Chinese meal, the billing structure, the taxes that I have to pay are exactly the same as if I go to a restaurant, same restaurant in the, for instance, Shangri-La.
Absolutely correct.
And those people are paid in rupees or dollars?
Rupees. The consumption is in rupees, and the companies pay their staff in rupees as well.
But the gazette that you got approved last time allows the actual companies, once the permit is issued, to pay their employees in dollars and not pay taxes. Is that correct?
The Act, Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act specifies that all employees of authorized persons should be paid in US dollars. And
But not these guys?
They are not authorized persons.
Right, okay. Two more. Madura Walage Premadasa.
Golf.
What is that?
That's a
golf driving range.
Yes, golf driving range.
Is that operational?
It was operational, then it stopped for a while. Now they're trying to sort of revamp it again, and yeah.
On a personal note, I think that's quite fabulous because you hit the ball into the water. And then I don't know how you collect it floats, no? The balls float.
Yes, that's correct. They had some balls that were supposedly floating.
Now it's not working.
It's not operational at the moment,
So
Shyam.
why you give this license if you're not operational? Then create adventure, all-terrain vehicle track. What is that?
That's these ATVs, yeah.
So you ride those, or people ride those, or?
Yes, there have been a number of
sand
people,
dunes
and
and
I
all.
believe
I saw some photographs once on WhatsApp, certain people riding those. But are they operational?
I'm sure. Yes, that is operational.
David Pierce go-karting track,
That is also operational.
Solar Impulse yacht operation.
That is also operational. Sailboats.
Okay. So this is the total, right? There are 10.
Correct.
It's nothing more than this.
Absolutely.
So each one, what the DSC says is, has a separate agreement.
That is correct.
Yeah, we don't have a legal basis. So
it's then illegal, no?
No, wait. We are not saying it's illegal. Dr. Pereira has written to us, which there is what she said just now is there are some questions that have arisen from the information the Port City Commission provided to the Attorney General's office, and that they will have to go through it and give her time to come back to us. Is that correct, Dr. Pereira?
Honorable Chair, because as I said, each one is pegged to a different mother agreement, and those agreements, the validity of those agreements are in question at the moment.
Okay, Honorable Raghavan.
Chair, from the representative of the Commission, and please clarify to me, these activities that we went through are different from the original objective of the Commission. These looks like the forerunners or entertainment providers also, right? So there are two. I consider this as a forerunner. People have to come and they all get, because this is nothing. Well, there are some features which are greater, but it's kind of an advanced Kimulavala operation, right? I mean, this is what is happening. But when are we getting the $5 billion investment that we were promised?
I know that we will, Honorable Sir, we'll come to that. We'll come to that because that is part of the gazette.
These operations that are given license, uniformity is not there, there are legal issues, all that is there. Some are not operating, all that is. But there are different categories. Would you say that?
Yeah, just before we'll get.
There should be a timeline, Honorable Chair. Yeah. Because you know this, these things can be directed to the AG's department and ended up there. Indefinitely, right? That's what we experience. So we need to have a timeline whether these agreements are legal as per the that agreement signed by the UDA and the CHEC.
Yeah, there are two issues here. One issue is what Honorable Raghavan is raising, which is the basic issue, the fundamental issue is that.
Conceptual issue.
Yeah, but then that is why they are here also today to define the relationships between authorized persons and others, etc. And previously in this committee we approved a bunch of regulations that allows them to start these operations. And we also want to ask them to tell us about what happened in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and all of that. We've been reading in the papers, there have been some concrete investments that have come in, which is we are glad to note. All that is good. But this is not part of the game plan. This is just a temporary thing that they have brought in just to keep the thing going, I think. And we just needed regularizing of this, because this committee can't just say, well, somebody has signed an agreement with somebody else, because there has to be some regularization. So the DSC has requested for some time, if you don't mind telling us how much time you require, then we can note it down and then we can stick to that time frame.
Because what my understanding is that these temporary permits or whatever, which are not uniformed, and AG's office had raised deep concerns about them, right? Because they are connected to the mother agreement works with the daughter agreement and all kind of things. Because these people may refuse to go, which may be a absolute demarketing. Whether James Cameron comes and market or not, there will be legal issues. We have gone through, I'm telling you. We are sat in these committees after committees, because one person did not do the correct thing. After 4 years, 5 years, it has been ballooned as a major legal issue. And we can't do anything, we get stuck.
It is the one word I can tell, it is illegal. It's going to terminate, I think, better.
There is a plan.
He's speaking. Yeah, so I think that was noted, right? There was a director legal of the Port City. I mean, is there anything that you can add to this conversation?
Honorable Chair, I think we will wait for the Attorney General's advice, because the agreements were entered into with the project company. And as you correctly said, some agreements happened even before the commission was established, when the UDA was in place. So
Now, just one moment, please. You said some agreements, which means some agreements were signed after the commission came into being. Correct?
Correct.
In that time period, you were I'm assuming, the person in charge of legal affairs of the commission.
Correct.
So, on those matters, right, when you were heading the legal department at the commission, now, did they request some sort of concurrence from you, or was there some discussion? Was there a commission meeting regarding handing over these licenses, etc.? Just shed some light for us, please.
Conversations.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Honorable Chair, I cannot recall, because the agreements were entered into with the project company and the relevant operators. And as far as I...
No, once a project, what I'm asking you, madam, is after the commission came into being, not before. I'm asking, you said some were before, some were after. So I'm asking, after the commission came into being, the authority lies with the commission, right?
Correct.
From the day it came into effect. So if anybody is, just one moment please, if anybody is doing anything in that jurisdiction, there must be at least some concurrence that is required from you. That is the question we are asking.
Before that, there was an agreement between the CHEC and the UDA, that CHEC can't take decisions alone when leasing out these things, because the whole land belongs to the Sri Lankan government, right? So there should be a UDA approval and also kind of a cabinet approval to do so. The second thing, we hired a company called SACO to do a kind of a built environment plan. So they can't go beyond that plan, because it has been gazetted, it has been now legalized. So these are ad hoc agreements with...
They are putting up buildings.
Yes. These are totally illegal things.
I don't want to say that, precisely use that word illegal, for the simple reason, Mr. Honorable Member, is I want the AG to give its opinion.
So then give us a timeline.
Yeah, so that is why, please DSC, if you can tell us a timeline, because we don't want to drag this. And I mean, we are not interested in, individual operations here. We just need to regularize this. Because as the Honorable Member says, who was the minister in charge of this, as the minister of the UDA, he also has a lot of prior knowledge and, understanding of how this was supposed to operate. But, so we want an answer from you, DSC, Madam, when, and then from the Director Legal, I'm asking you one more time, please shed some light, whether you were at least consultant, whether you were consulted, or whether this was just done on their own, or whether if you were not consulted, whether once this building started coming up, did you question them, or just shed some light on that, please?
Honorable Chair, the agreement, master license agreement signed in October, has been...
October of?
October 2021. if I recall correctly. It was done on the basis to create footfall in the port city and also to shed away the notion that this was a restricted site for Sri Lankans. That was the whole purpose of the agreement. Apart from that, I have to see what the documents are. I honestly cannot recall now whether specifically each and everything was approved or requested. So please give us some time to get back on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we will give you 3 days to come back to us. You don't need that much time, no? Go back and refer your documents. We'll give us 3 days. Yeah, we will ask Dr. Pereira how long she needs.
Request for the documents that we need today or even by tomorrow.
Yeah.
And depending on when we get them, including perhaps it will be helpful to get the information on whether the port city also concurred in some of these which have come into operation after the act. If I just give a brief timeline, the act came into operation in May 2021. At least 2 of the agreements, that is Crate Adventure and David Pieris, have come into operation in April 2021. That is before the act and before the master license agreement. Then there are others. The master license agreement is October 21. There are ones in between the act coming into operation and the master license. For instance, events work, June 2021. July 2021, Lanka Sports. So there are at least 3 different categories here, which means there are some which have come into operation before the commission even came into existence under the act. So that is why we need to look at them individually.
We understand. Right? So are you saying, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8
yes,
weeks?
Yes, 3 weeks, but if Honorable Chair suggests 4 weeks, I'll be more than happy to take that.
We'll take 4 weeks.
Chair, may I?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Now, in this licensing, we are understanding prior to the act, during the act, post-act. There are 3 categories.
Yes.
And according to the chair, you are saying there are about 10 secondary license operators who have contract with mother license, right? What I heard was that 1 company is not operating or 2 are not operating, at least 8 are operating, right? If I remember. Now, do they have individual 8 or 1 or 2 companies have taken and subcontracted the others?
They're all individual 8 or 8 or 10.
8.
Yes.
Okay, but we only know that time frame pre, during or post. That's what we have to clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, before we get to that, we have been sent a newspaper, Island newspapers has been sent to us. It said Port City investment meetings, presidential advisor misuses secretariat letterhead. Is saying that some person letter was sent under the letterhead of the presidential secretary. It was only recently that the presidential secretary issued a circular laying out strict instructions. So this is about a person who is somehow connected to your commission, inviting people to David Cameron's event and misusing some government letterheads. Is this? Have you heard about this, or is it true, or is this something that you are aware? I just want to know.
Actually, we are not aware anyhow, and after this news item, and our state minister conveyed the message to the minister, honorable minister, about this issue, and he says that he will inquire about it.
Sir, since you are also connected to the President's Secretariat, President himself had issued, we have about 8 different, this is a different issue, put no tag. Secretariat letterheads been abused, not misused, abused on issues. So this is what we have taken with Secretary Sarath Vekanayak.
We can't tell no that time abuse someone. We want to check first.
Yeah. No, I'm telling my ministry.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Don't take it up here.
Be agree with you. I don't know that.
Yeah.
That word is abuse. I don't know that.
I'm going to
check and I will inform.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the file.
Yeah,
but this is not the forum to discuss.
Yeah.
This is not the forum to discuss those.
So I just want to raise it because it was sent to us officially. So that's why I wanted to raise it. So now we can get to the matter at hand. which is the Gazette 2339/31. You are excused, Mr. Secretary. හරි. හරි කවුද මේක මේ අපිට ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ? කවුද ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ?
To the regulation chairman, sir.
මේක ආයෝජන ප්‍රවාර්ධ අමාත්‍යාංශයේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයාගේ අත්සනින් තියෙන. ඒතකොට කවුද මේක ඕගොල්ලෝ කමිෂන් එකේ ඉන්නේ? අමාත්‍යාංශය අමාත්‍ය ලේකම්ට යන්න ඕනේ කියලා ගියා. අමත ජනාධිපතිතුමා හම්බ වෙන තියනවා කියලා. කවුද අමාත්‍යාංශය මේක ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ? කවුද අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් ඉන්නේ? කවුරු හරි මේක අපිට විස්තර කරන්න මොකද ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ කවුද?
Is it okay if I use Sinhala language?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Right, thank you. ශ්‍රී ලංකා ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රීය සමාජවාදී ජනරාජයේ ගැසට් පත්‍රයේ අතිවිශේෂ අංක 23/39/31 මේ 2023 ජූලි 7 වෙනිදා ගැසට් කරේ. ඒකේ අපේ තියෙනවා 2020 අංක 11 දරන කොළඹ වරාය නගරයේ ආර්ථික කමිෂන් සභා පනත. මේ පනත යටතේ 2020 අංක 11 දරන කොළඹ වරාය නගර ආර්ථික කමිෂන් සභා පනතේ 27 36 37 39 40 සහ 64 වන වගන්ති සමග කියවිය යුතු ඒ පනතේ 71 වන වගන්ති යටතේ කොළඹ වරාය නගරයේ ආර්ථික කමිෂන් සභාව සහ අදාළ නියාමන ආර්ථික අධිකාරීන් විමසා ආයෝජන ප්‍රවර්ධන අමාත්‍යවරයා විසින් සාදන ලද නියෝග එක තියෙනවා මෙම
අපිට මේ ගැසට් එක කියවන්න අපිට තේරෙනවා. පැහැදිලි කරන්න.
මේ මොකද්ද මේකේ අරමුණ කියලා. ඒකයි ඕනේ. නැතු මේ කොලේ අපිට තියෙනවා. මේ මිනිස්සු.
මූලික පානකයේ තිබුණු දේවල් වෙනස් කරගන්නද උත්සාහ ගන්නේ?
regulations වෙනස් කරනවා.
ඔව් හරි.
මේක ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න හේතුව මොකක්ද කියන එක පැහැදිලි කරන්න.
නැත්නම් තිබුණේ එකට තමයි අතුල් කරනවා.
පනත යටතේ රෙගුලාසි හදලා තියෙනවා. ඒ රෙගුලාසි වල අලුතින් රෙගුලාසි කීපයක් ඉන්ක්ලූඩ් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒක තමයි අරමුණ.
ඔව් දැන් මම නම් හිතන්නේ මේ කැසට් එකේ ඔක්කොම දාන්න බැරි නිසා ඒ වගේ වෙනසක් කරද්දී ඔබතුමාලාට අපිට මේ කමිටුවට දෙන්න වෙනවා කලින් තිබුණේ මේකයි අලුත් එකක් ඇතුල් කරනවා ඒ කොටස මෙන්න මේ කොටස ඒකට තියෙන පදනම ඒකට තියෙන යුක්තිය මොකක්ද කියලා කියන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට අපි දන්නේ මේක. එතකොට මෙතන අපිට දැන් අපිට කියපුවා මේක ඇතුල් කරන්නයි කියලා. අපි ෆුල් ස්ටඩි එකක් කරන්න ඕනේ මේ මොහොතේදී ඒක.
ඇයි මොකද්ද කරන්න යන්නේ කියලා? අන්න ඒක කියන්නකෝ.
දැන් මේ අපේ කමිටුවේ සමාජිකයන්ට අපි කරපු ඇසෙස්මන්ට් එක තියෙනවා. හරි එහෙම නෙමෙයි. අපේ ඇසෙස්මන්ට් එක නෙමෙයි. ඕගොල්ලෝ කරුණා කරලා කියන්නේ ඇයි මොකද්ද මේ අවස්ථාව?
සභාපතිතුමා කමිෂන් එක දන්නේ නැති. කමිෂන් එකට දුන්නා නම් හරි ඒක.
Does the commission representative Does the commission representative
Yes, may I?
So can you help me?
Yes. So the act calls for passing of certain regulations. Section 71 of the act
Yes.
specifies that with the minister may pass certain regulations to enable business or operations operationalize the port city. This gazette he is specifying, as stated in the first paragraph, it is passing regulations in relation under sections as empowered under section 71 in relation to sections 27, 36, 37, and so there are no change to enable business activities actually start and commence. There's no changes to the act, there's no changes to the provisions of the act as detailed in the act, which allows for regulations to be passed. That is what is happening in this gazette.
Yeah. Now, original, of course, we do not know. Watertight situations are very difficult.
Yep.
We have an original gazette. When we start operating, we realize certain edges had to be either loosened or tightened, right? So that's the operational process.
Yep.
So then we bring it here.
Correct.
And we say, okay, can you kindly add these things? But we as a committee must have the rationale. No, the original one is this. These are the difficult areas. Therefore, if you go like this, we can't meet our 5 billion target. Therefore, we are asking the Commission to allow us to expand this area in order to, within the third year, we will reach our targets.
That's clear.
So there is no rational paper like that. Only the gazette is with us.
So if it's the document is a 2-page document which is self-explanatory. If I can go through that, the
one that you are raised,
regulations that are calling, the regulations that are being passed are addressing.
This one, right?
No, and I also gave a little presentation today, but if I can quickly, if you permit me to go through the regulations that.
No, the presentation was given.
Just
Can
given
this-
yeah, but before I,
you want to, Mr. Kumeswari, you want to go through the presentation first? Would that help?
yes, if I can quickly elaborate, the regulations are being passed to facilitate and give guidance on how dividends, when dividends are received, when a business is operational and dividends are received by the shareholders of the business, how those dividends would be treated, right? What type of accounts it goes into. Then there are provisions or regulations for converting of Sri Lankan rupees, because there are, there are 3 instances, specifically there are 3 instances where authorized persons or these activities may generate Sri Lankan rupees, and how those Sri Lankan rupees should be placed in bank accounts and then converted, if so, into foreign currency. Then there is a regulation on how businesses are done with Sri Lankan citizens or residents in Sri Lanka, right?
From my knowledge, now these transactions, these conversions, do they go through the central bank procedure? Are they covered by Sri Lankan central bank laws?
Yes, all rupees that are collected, because it sits within a bank account in Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan rupees, and that is provided here clearly that any rupees that are collected have to sit with a licensed commercial bank. Those rupees would be bound by the regulations under the applicable to that commercial bank passed by the central bank.
Okay, also raise a question. Now these operators who are already here on ground, on the beach or inland, 10 of them minus 2 who are not operating, they operate in rupees, as I heard you saying.
That's correct.
So do they come under this?
No.
Okay.
They are not authorized persons.
Yeah, authorized, yeah.
They are not authorized.
They are normal businesses in Sri Lanka. They pay their taxes, corporate taxes, VATs, whatever.
But can I also know what is the difference between now, let's say, a company operating within Colombo City who's into the same type of transaction also can convert their rupees into dollars?
Not at all, sir.
Not at all?
Not at all.
So this is a special permission that's given to those who are operating businesses within the...
Licensed under the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act under section 27, right, and issued a license, considered an offshore company if it is a company, and operating as per those rules and regulations.
Yeah,
how
that's
they
a
can...
preference, that's a preference that's given to the companies operating within the zone.
In that special economic zone, absolutely correct, sir. So if I can continue, the other 2 or 3 regulations that are addressed in this gazette is how you would transfer marketable land which is paid for in Sri Lankan rupees. What happens if somebody, because the Act provides for Sri Lankans to purchase or lease land and pay for it in Sri Lankan rupees. What happens if that land, let's say within a period of 5 years, is sold for in US dollars, right? What happens to those dollars, right? It calls for those dollars and how those dollars are treated. The next is the retail facilities, right? And when you say retail, the Act specifies restaurants, cinemas, parking, etc. How those businesses, as per the Act, are mandated to offer their services and goods in Sri Lankan rupees. What do they do with those Sri Lankan rupees? Again, the Act calls for those rupees to be sitting with a rupee bank account with a commercial bank in Sri Lanka. And then the final regulation speaks for what are called interim measures, again, which the Act allows a business to operate outside of the area of authority of the Colombo Port City, that is 269 hectares, until the 26th of May 2026, and avail itself to any benefits or provisions given under the Act.
So the licenses given already will come within that.
The licenses given already under the Act, and that excludes the leisure activities that this committee discussed at the beginning of this. So those are not authorized persons and they're not empowered under the Act. So none of them will fall under this regulation.
None of those will fall under?
No.
I have two clarifications to make, to be known. One is this local currency conversion to hard currency, how far is that with the international standards of pre-port? Now, I'm just, because I'm in this committee, I'm studying the Poland port city operation, which is being awarded as one of the best in the region, and Singapore. So, the currency conversions, are they with international standards? Number one. Number two, whether any other body is watching these people, the rupee being converted to hard currency, in this case US dollars, is equivalent to what the rupees that they earned, or because if there is no real watertight situation, there can be money laundering. Now, yesterday apparently the Navy says they captured 200 kilos of some abusive drugs off Deundara. So that money is circulating here. So when we allow a person to earn in rupee and convert into hard currency, we also must completely seal the possibility of any other rupee coming in, whether it's black or white, to be converted to rupees. No, his finance ministry is aware of this. Are you all working with him? What is your role?
Yes. No, in
You don't have. So central bank knows about this?
Yes, the central bank is aware of this regulation, and if I can comment on that, you're absolutely correct. Money laundering and layering of funds is not something that the Port City Economic Commission would ever facilitate, and that is why the banking system we are working in is clearly under the purview of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, and we have, and it is very clear that the AML and CFT regulations and all other extant regulations passed and administered under the FIU are applicable to all transactions that are going or are being done by an authorized person.
Okay, thank you.
So now when we passed the Act some time back, you undertook to establish officers of the central bank and the other regulators within the Port City Commission. Is that correct? It's supposed to be like a one-stop shop kind of business, no? Wasn't it?
Yes, I wouldn't say officers established in the Port City, but the relevant regulatory authorities have appointed individuals or teams within their entities to support and to work with the Commission.
So, yeah, that's fine for the moment. So what that means is now when a person makes an application, it goes through that process and the central bank looks at all these current regulations and then only comes back to the Commission to with their concurrence. Is that correct?
The regulation, so if there is a bank that's applying to become a license, yes, the central bank is involved and that comes with the concurrence of the monetary board. And if it is somebody wants a visa, then we would work with the immigration department, etc.
That's what I mean.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
It goes through that entire process, right?
The relevant regulatory authority.
Now, can we ask you, how many people have made applications to start businesses in this jurisdiction?
Yeah, so we've got 7 applicants who've been authorized persons.
Who are these 7?
There are 7 companies, and we've got, as per the Act again, it is on our website because the Act calls for maintaining
we
a
want
register.
to know who the 7
Yeah,
companies
so
are.
if I can go through the names, one's called Bitaza International.
What do they do?
They're not operational yet, so none of these are operational yet.
That's fine, but
Yeah.
you have given them authorized person status.
Yes, correct. So they are looking at setting up a digital asset exchange.
Digital
asset exchange.
What does that mean?
Digital assets, commonly known as cryptocurrencies. Yeah, an exchange to
So you're
facilitate.
setting up a cryptocurrency exchange at Port City?
That's what Bitaza is looking to do.
Hold on a second. So now central bank has approved this.
The central bank, there are no regulations issued by the central bank that bans or prohibits digital asset exchanges.
My question is slightly different. My question is, has the central bank given its concurrence to establish a cryptocurrency exchange on within the jurisdiction of the Port City? That's the question.
At least have you inquired their opinion?
No, I first asked that
No, I'm
question.
saying, yeah.
I first asked the question, if it has to do with banking, whether those people who are the regulators are consulted and their concurrence obtained, to which Mr. Vikramasuriya said yes. So my subsequent question is, then therefore, because this is the first time we are hearing that a cryptocurrency exchange has been set up at the Port City.
And then
So
license been
the
given.
obvious question is, has the central bank given its concurrence to start a cryptocurrency exchange at the Port City? That's the question, straightforward
The feedback received and the engagements had, there is no provision within the regulations the central bank administers to approve cryptocurrency because they don't come under any of the regulations that are applicable or managed by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
So then who approved it?
The Commission has approved the...
So is it a financial, does it have a financial aspect to it, cryptocurrency?
in
No, I understand, but my question is, right, we are talking about AML, and all of that. Within the context of the larger question of the honorable member, if there is currently no regulation, then who has sort of assumed to
be the authority?
Yeah.
I mean, should there be some sort of regulator? Because the way I understand any exchange, Mr. Vikramasuriya, there has to be a regulator for an exchange. Like you have a Colombo Stock Exchange, the Securities and Exchange Commission is a regulator. Because there are transactions that take place, and there could be disputes, and to settle them, to the multiple issues, right? To provide, avoid, misuse of the exchange, various things, fraud. So my question then is slightly different. Under whose regulation will a cryptocurrency exchange be operationalized in the Port City? Or will there be no regulator?
Particularly when the central bank says they don't have any regulations, there is an absence, void, complete void. In that void, who took the authority to give and who will operate?
Yes, so these cryptocurrency exchanges, right, will be opening, should they be allowed to, open bank accounts with the Sri Lankan banks. To do business, they have to actually have a bank account, right? So those bank accounts would be with commercial banks licensed under the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Right? So those banks would ensure that they are adhering, and as I pointed out earlier, all the AML and CFT regulations applicable to those transactions
We are not talking only about AML, CFT, DST. If we remember correct, when the act was approved, we made sure that there would be a regulatory authority, looking at whatever that happens within the jurisdiction of this Port City, 269 hectares. Right? So in that case, this becomes sort of becomes a bit odd, or rather, it's a misnomer. How can you give the authority to establish this? whether it is established or not, you have given the person, authorized person, a license to operate, no?
So, absolutely correct. And Section 64 of the CPEC Act is very clear, right, that unless otherwise specifically provided for in this Act, the duty, powers, duties and functions vested in any regulatory authority by any written law, right, will stand, right? So if
wait, what is the
Section 74.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So the question is, at the moment, right, is there a regulation or regulator, right, for cryptocurrency exchanges in Sri Lanka? So the answer to that is, at the moment, no, there isn't, right? So it is, they will do their business the day and the people we have licensed, right, as per our Act, sort of comes from businesses that they're doing in other jurisdictions. So there are actually two. One is out of Thailand, right? The other comes out of the UK, right? They have operations in those countries, and they're looking at setting up a regional, what they call a regional exchange to deal with the market here. At the moment, there isn't a regulator for that business in Sri Lanka that is specifically listed or identified.
And then UK, how they are regulated?
To a certain degree, yes. So there are the licenses.
Then we have to inform the central bank
and the AG's office.
AG's office about all these things.
So, like if they have to deal through a Sri Lankan bank for them to conduct their operation, if we don't have any regulations passed, how are they going to practically operate if that is a must?
Mr. Vikramasuriya, actually, this is the job of the Secretary Investment Promotion. You all are giving this. You don't know what you are presenting to us, no?
Chair, please, can I get an answer for that?
Sorry, do you mind repeating your question, sir?
Now, according to you, this cryptocurrency operation has to operate through a licensed commercial bank in Sri Lanka.
Correct.
So now, at the moment, we don't have any regulation passed permitting such operation. But but at the same time, you have given approval for this company to operate. So
Correct.
how can they practically operate?
So when you say a cryptocurrency exchange, approvals given is for people to buy and sell something on a digital asset, right?
Yeah.
Transact in foreign currency, not in Sri Lankan rupees, right?
Yeah.
So in Sri Lanka, as of now, there are various platforms. This is an online, a web-based platform. So even as of today, there are platforms that actually transact digital assets in Sri Lankan rupees.
Is it legal?
That's not.
That's an individual basis.
So is it? So the question, I can't opine on the legality or illegality of that.
No, you have to know. No,
you have to
you
know.
can't come here and say we don't know.
Only legalized operations within the country.
So what I can say is, before we started this process, we went to two institutions, right?
Yeah.
We went to the SEC, right? And we went to the central bank. The central bank was very clear. Central bank said it is not illegal, right? They have issued public notices to make the public aware of the risks and potential downfalls of actually investing one's funds in digital assets. And I think they've, if I remember correctly, they've made about 4 public notices,
yes,
right? The next body we went to, and again we asked them, and the central bank was clear, yes, when they do open a bank account, if there is fiat currencies moving through that, would they abide, they would need to abide by the extent FIU regulations. The next institution we went to, because they use the term is the SEC, right? The SEC Act clearly specifies that the regulations they come up with are related to securities, right? Cryptocurrencies are not defined as securities in the current context, the current environment. So these two authorities which we went to sort of basically said, as long as they're dealing with the AML and the FIU regulations, that is their primary concern, and that's how the commission proceeded to issue these 2 licenses.
If someone wanted to buy or sell, that cryptocurrencies via this digital wallet or the
website,
digital this thing, these people should go through the local banks to do that.
No, currently
are
they
you
are not.
telling that?
If you're buying, so you can exchange one digital asset to another digital asset, right? So then it won't be a transaction that goes through a bank.
Exactly.
But if you are selling a digital asset into dollars,
Right.
those dollars would generally ultimately get cleared via a bank.
Or else you can invest or exchange things in Sri Lankan rupees.
No, not via the port city licensed entities. Whereas, however, there are websites at the moment.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So I think so. We have come in with the conditions that to ensure that, so if you're looking at the business that is currently happening in Sri Lanka, it is a bit more robust and there are checks and balances because the Commission has come in and laid out some guidelines which says that you cannot actually deal in Sri Lankan rupees. So there is a certain level of regulation that actually comes in, whereas others there are no regulations.
I mean, I am not so sure that you are absolutely correct on that. I want to ask the DSC to share her views on this.
Central Bank website, and Mr. Vikramasuriya mentioned about risks which the public has been warned against, and I want to read that out, so we might have to look at this further. It says the public is reminded that cryptocurrencies are unregulated investment instruments which are not recognized as an asset class in Sri Lanka. Further, cryptocurrencies are not considered as legal tender in Sri Lanka and have no regulatory safeguards relating to their usage in the country. It goes on to say, the public is also warned of the growing number of financial scams operating with the promise of high returns based on crypto investments. Finally, CBSL strongly advises the public to safeguard their hard-earned money and not to invest or engage in any cryptocurrency scheme offered through the internet, other forms of media, or directly by any persons. Public is also notified that CBSL has not issued any license or authorized any individual or business to operate schemes involving cryptocurrency. So the practicality of the Commission giving its concurrence and approving a business which now engages in this, which the central bank has strongly advised against, I think is a matter that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, so let us look at the other six. Who are the other six? We will come back to this one.
Can I ask one question?
Please, can you let him?
About that project, business, laypersons. Now, what is the benefit that we will get as a country over this?
No, you can answer that as a whole. You know, we'll let us look at what the other six are.
Software which provide software related, IT related services to.
So there's one was a crypto exchange.
Yeah, there are two crypto exchanges.
Two.
Yeah.
What are the names?
Bitaza and Scallop.
They are which origin? Where they coming from?
Bitaza is originated in Thailand. Scallop is originated. The promoters are in the UK.
There are no local collaborators.
There would be Sri Lankan promoters as well.
Is it declared already?
Sorry?
Who are the local agents? Is it declared?
I would need to go through the application forms to get those details.
Please.
Second one is also a crypto exchange. Two crypto exchanges.
There are two.
Then the third one?
Then there is Patli and Tikri Software, which is into providing of software.
Tikri is a well-known software company.
Yes.
Which provides software to, I think, credit cards and others
and
overseas.
Broader, yeah.
Yeah, that's a well-known MX operation. Then the fourth one?
We have RCD Hospitals, which is looking to develop. So they're coming as a primary developer looking to develop the hospital.
So the hospital project has already been decided?
Yes, it was there.
Asiri?
Yes.
We have asked the Singaporean one.
Yeah, but he says Asiri.
Asiri partnering with Mayo Clinic.
So so that is done? Because there is only one spot for a hospital,
correct.
Right?
Yes.
So that one spot for the hospital, that's on state land.
Yes.
Has been approved to be built by Asiri and Mayo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we are in the process of.
Have you looked at others, or how did you select Asiri to build this?
Went through, I think there was about a 2-year process or even longer than that. There were.
How many people bid?
They went out and spoke to a number of operators in Sri Lanka, in Singapore, India, and not very many of them declined. And there was
I'm asking a simple question. How many people?
I believe it was only Asiri that actually came up with
one proposal
with a viable partnership that met the requirements because they partnered with an American name.
Preliminary studies on this.
No,
There were
preliminary studies. We went to UK, Singapore, and various other places to
India
promote these things. Yes.
But there was, unfortunately, there was only one interested party. Okay.
with an American with a globally recognized partnership.
Yeah, Mayo Clinic is a globally recognized company, a hospital, but so well anyway. So that means that's done. Then what's the fifth one?
Sixth one.
Then there is again another IT company called or investment company called Echelon Trade.
Sixth one.
Yes.
That is a IT company.
Again, IT and tech services. Yeah, they're looking at setting up their sort of their operations here. Yeah.
Which where originating from where?
Echelon, if I'm not mistaken, is Singapore? Middle East. Sorry, Echelon is from the Middle East. Yeah.
And the seventh one?
Then you have Remedium One, right, which is a company that does services in the medical sector, so they do their testings and supporting of the large.
Medium One is doing what is this testing of pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceutical
So
testing.
why would they want to set up in Port City?
Because
I thought that was, from what I understand, when you manufacture pharmaceuticals, they want to check whether it is equally priced to, or the efficacy and all of that to the people in this part of the world, right?
That's where they've started.
Testing out pharmaceutical drugs.
Yes, that is where they started from, right? And now they're expanding to doing more work in the broader.
So how would a company like that operate from Port City?
So the regional work, so that is one part of their business model, right? Running and testing out to see whether a tablet or an injection or a viral drug works, right? And how it works. But then they do also a lot of advisory work, and they're looking at expanding their business model. And
so this is not the work they do in Sri Lanka.
Not at all. So this is
these are the 7 companies.
There are few more. Right? Not 7, I think I said there are about 11. Yeah?
You said 7. Okay, right.
Sorry.
8?
Then there is insurance companies. Amana Takaful is looking at setting up a business in the Port City to provide insurance policies and services to regional clients.
Okay.
You've got banks. So commercial bank we've got here who's coming into looking at doing offshore banking under as per the allowances of the Act. You've got Hatton National Bank. You've got again another tech company called 99X. Yeah, and so that's pretty much the list.
So now let us take. I want to ask. Take it to the finance ministry. This one. Now say suppose a software company is exporting services from Sri Lanka to some ex-country, and then on that revenue, on the profits, you tax 30%. Correct? Under the new tax act? No. Yes, right? So every software company will have to pay the 30% tax now.
If it is exported, then no tax at all.
No tax at all? Digital services. No tax at all. Only services provided domestically
Yes.
will be taxed. Yeah. So other exports are taxed?
No, all export of services, whether it is IT or any other services, are zero exempted.
Yeah. So is there a sunset clause for that, or is that?
No, it's open-ended.
Open-ended.
Currently, yes.
So then what is? I just want to ask you the next obvious question. Why would you want to set up in the Port City Economic Commission as opposed to setting it up wherever continuing wherever they are? What benefit do they get? Are there other benefits?
Yeah.
Like for instance, now an employee of that company will have to pay tax.
Yes.
If they are working onshore.
Yes.
But the same job that person is doing at Port City, there is no pay tax.
There no pay tax.
So then, as a tax advisor to the government, Mrs. Pereira, would you be so kind to explain to us why other people would not do the same thing as this company has already done? move to, because now, according to a transition provision which we are going to come to, you say you can operate out of the physical geography, location, right?
Yep.
So, let's say I'm a company, I'm operating at the World Trade Center, and I have to pay taxes, I have to pay tax. Then I say, no, I'm going to operate under the port city regulations while being at the same place. I'm in the World Trade Center building, physically same place, right? I use the same water, same resources, same, everything that the CMC gives me, but I don't pay any tax. But I'm at the same place. All what I have done is sent an application to the port city, and they have approved me as an authorized person. So have you looked at the tax expense in doing this? What is the benefit to the country? Is it positive or is it negative? And if it is positive, tell us how. If it is negative, how do you plan to recoup the tax loss by getting people to stay at the same place, do the same thing and not pay taxes?
Actually, currently we don't have any kind of incentives like that, but for everyone this exemption is applicable from 2020 onwards. And what we have done is, with this amendment, we have...
2020, she said the amendment, the act was passed in 2021.
No, it was effective from 2020, January 1st, this exemption.
Oh, the taxes, because those are two different things.
Yeah, I'm referring to the taxes.
No, I'm talking about a transition provision.
Yeah, transitional provisions, that is under the Ports Economic Commission Act, and it is, I think it is 2021. By that time, the exemption was in place when the act was came into effect.
Yeah, when you're answering, also keep in mind the IMF agreement that all these exemptions will have to go.
Yeah.
Right? Tax exemptions will have to go. So please answer us, also incorporating that new position.
Actually, we have done away with all sort of tax exemption except this export of services, because we had this foreign currency issue, and because we were,
we are not talking about export of services. We are talking about pay tax.
Yeah, pay and
other taxes.
Pay and other taxes. Actually, it was not exempted. That is what the IMF always emphasized, because they don't want to have other regimes in parallel with the normal tax regime, which gives extra benefits, other than what is there in the income tax law. So, but the thing is, if there is a, what you call the strategic business, then the domestic law has the...
No, this is not SDP, You are supposed to get rid of the SDP according
not
to
the SDP, sir, but
what are the strategy?
But under the Port City Economic Commission law, they have these businesses of strategic importance. So the Act has no application for these type of investments. Not only the SDPs, under the Port City law also the same.
No, you are not answering the question. No. Our question is very simple. You are staying in the same place. You are, let's say, you are on the 40th floor of the World Trade Center. You are doing a business.
These businesses.
You are sending export. You are exporting services. You are getting a tax. You are getting a revenue, and then for the employees you have to pay tax. Now you are doing the same thing, sitting in the same place, right? Or can you sitting in the same place, but you are now a authorized person.
Yep.
Then you don't have to pay tax. So my question is...
this is, you are referring to the...
all those people are local companies.
Companies stated under this transitional arrangement.
No.
But that is temporary, I think.
Give us an explanation.
So if I can come in here, so all these companies, yes, they are local companies, they are coming in to do new business activities. So our city is going to set up a hospital looking at getting in medical tourists, right? And also
talk about our city.
So even the tech companies,
that those who are working here in Maradhan area can register, no? They are in the port city.
It is a new business.
They can evade the taxes, no?
It's not tax evasion. They are coming in to do a new line of business.
No. The problem is that Using the same
we
name, they can
wind up
register, no? That's what that's what the chairman is raising.
Any existing business can wind up or incorporate a new company and function with the existing
Even
offices and existing business.
some private companies, they register their employees outside the country, but they are so that they can simply do away with this pay tax.
So what is the benefit that the country will get, at least in the
So
long term?
so when you look at what are we trying to look at attracting, right? We are looking, so this is the first special economic zone that has been created by Act of Parliament in 2021 to actually attract FDIs into the service sector. The provision for tax exemptions was clearly listed in section 35 of the Act. So it wasn't a regulation or something that came in. It was actually hard-coded into section 35. So the idea is to facilitate businesses that are running their regional offices, as the Honourable Member mentioned. You said a lot of people are, even Sri Lankans are going overseas, right, to try and get those people back. And also look at bringing in, we are talking to people in South India, we are talking to
misuse this thing. That's the thing. Actually, it is not your duty. You are there to attract more and more FDIs. But finance ministry must know about all these things.
Now, I want to ask you, my question was slightly different. It was related to the tax cost, right? Because we remember once a software company came to our committee and they wanted, your investment board wanted 17-year tax holiday. We asked a simple question, what is a tax expense? Now the IMF governance, internal benefit. Now the governance report of the IMF has specifically referred to that and said no longer can you do that. So I am asking you, Mrs. Pereira, as a tax advisor to the Ministry of Finance, have you calculated the tax expense of letting companies who are now physically located in Colombo 2 or 1 or 3 moving to this
converting
place,
themselves,
and then because you are trying to collect pay tax from everyone. Now, for instance, I would like to know whether these companies, the last 3 or 4 companies that you mentioned, because first you said 7, then you said 11, when were they given these approvals? Just to know, the software company, when was it given approval?
Since the passing of the regulation, but I can go into my database and comment.
No, where I'm trying to get to is it after the pay tax was changed or before? No, you brought in pay tax last year, no, Tanuja?
No, sir.
No, what I'm saying is...
Sir.
2018 වල ඉඳන් තියෙන්නේ.
No, what?
18
No, the pay tax... it went to pay tax was mandatory. Then in 2019, pay tax went from mandatory to voluntary. It's called by advanced tax. Then again, it was made mandatory recently.
Yeah.
So my simple question as the Committee on Public Finance, our responsibility is to make sure, while we agree with all what you want to do, that we also have to have revenue protection mechanisms in place.
To the citizens, because they are paying PAE.
So because if the simple reason is, if you are doing the same thing, sitting in the same place, then you don't have to pay tax.
Yes, sir. Now from 2018, pay was mandatory and the regime was changed in 2019.
Correct.
Where you have to give consent to deduct, but still the tax liability was there, whether it is by way of payee or by declaring his own tax, they have to pay.
Yes.
But with this Port City Act came into effect, the application of the Inland Revenue Act was excluded for some kind of investments. So others, because the act was passed and it is a law now, and whatever the investments coming under that category, which is in the law, has no application of the Inland Revenue Act. So that is...
Yes, so but then we are talking about a company or whatever company getting an authorized person approval after the new tax regime has come into effect.
That's right.
So after the new tax regime has come into effect, my question is, why would not other people also do the same thing that this company has done, because
And then what is the loss?
any smart business person would do that.
Not any smart, any common sense.
Yeah. So, and all
Yeah.
what I'm asking
Yeah.
is, what is
The risk of relocating the inland companies to
because-
that, because to get
Yeah.
the definitive, they get the,
Yeah.
that was an issue, sir, and before coming here also I asked that, because and that was the idea, because I'm not aware of that, the how much how many companies are in operation and
okay.
number of employees, how many employees are there.
Okay.
But the thing is, what I know is that it is temporary arrangement until this infrastructure to set up is there. For these companies to come, it's a kind of transitional arrangements. So, as you correctly pointed out, sir, the IMF will not allow any further exemptions granting under any other law, but they have specifically identified the SDPs, and that is under the SDP laws.
SDP is no longer applicable under the 16 governance conditions of the IMF.
Yeah.
Right, so let's now go to the SDP.
Yeah.
My question, Mr.
I also have a
Vikramasuriya,
question.
just if after I, please go ahead, is now who authorizes an off-site location, and on what basis would you approve an off-site location during the transitionary period? And two, how long is the transitionary period?
Yeah.
Applicable for? When will it expire?
The off-site location, or identifying and designating an off-site location, is under section 64, right, or part interim provisions which is in the act. Yeah. So there is a process. The applicant sends an application, and generally speaking, we are looking at officers in the Colombo district to start with, right? And again, you look at, see whether they can operate there.
Is it discretionary?
Sorry?
Is it discretionary? Does one person or a committee, do they have the authority to determine whether a Nugegoda Junction
No,
IT
it
operation or a
is
Colombo
recommended, as per the act, it is recommended by the commission and approved by the minister. So the minister designates a location.
So how many such locations have been designated
At
thus
the
far?
moment, if I'm not mistaken, 12. Again, those locations are listed on our website.
What's the basis?
What's the basis?
We look at what the applications come through, so we go through as much as we look at, there is an internal.
So application comes from XY plates and you incorporate that XY place as a designated places.
Could be. I don't know. That's why.
So
I mean,
what you're saying is that's what I'm getting.
Because we are getting confused here. Please tell us, what are the 12 locations approved?
And on what basis? Because the applications came from those places.
I would need to check that on our website. It is on our website, right? The locations are marked on our
website is in the detail.
Yes.
But the principle behind, we are asking, you are the principal agent of approving
yes,
it. No? So what is the operating principle of the framework?
So when we...
Yeah.
So there is
total discretion. No?
There is an application process. So we will look at the application process. We would look at the applicant that comes through.
Okay.
I look at the business they want to set up,
okay,
right, and understand whether it is a business that is
all right.
providing.
All that you will go through. But I'm saying is now, for instance, you have 12 locations now. Tomorrow there is an application coming from Mullaitivu, hypothetically. So you will study, they are meeting all the requirements, so you will say Mullaitivu is also approved or preferred location as you are saying.
Yes, as per the application process, as much as...
to decide, not us. So I have to only send you an application, so you take me in as the place.
So is there a set of criteria? Is there a set of criteria? You have to meet these criteria, or is it completely at the discretion of the commission?
To recommend. The commission, yes.
So, is there a set of criteria, or is it at the discretion of the commission?
So we would look at.
Answer me
it is at the commission recommends to the minister.
It's a total discretion of the commission.
The commission decides. Yes.
I mean, you see, secretary, deputy secretary, how can you let a commission have total discretion in determining whether a particular company, given whatever justification that they make, is liable to operate without paying pay tax and other taxes due to the government.
Chairman, if I can come in there, sorry, I need to, because again, this is the second part of the point, the second point you made, right? Operating outside of the port city is as per the Act until May 2026, because they envisage businesses, the buildings, the vertical infrastructure would be up and they would move in here, right? The tax provisions or the not applicability of PAYE tax, right, is not based on whether you're outside in this interim period or inside. Any authorized person that is, and this is the most important part, right, paying their employees in in foreign currency or any currency other than Sri Lankan rupees is exempt from PAYE. So this being outside of the port city is only because the vertical construction is not happened. And the reason, if I may comment one more, the reason that provision was put up, right, we could have said, okay, no businesses can start operating until the buildings are up here, right? What does that mean? People, developers, right, which are considered now primary developers as per the last regulation that came out, are at a significant risk, right, because they are going to be expected to put in up $50-100 million and put up vertical construction, expecting to see after they build for businesses to be licensed. So this provision, to the best of my understanding, was done to actually showcase to the primary developers that there is a pipeline of potential businesses that are going to move in there.
Let me tell you, we were involved in this long before you joined this.
Yes.
No, that was not the intention. The intention was to actually have certain criteria and say, look, this particular building will be a transition building. That if you set it up at, I don't know, just for the sake of, building X, right? You go to building X, and then if you start operating there, then those operators can come here. But it was never expected to be at the total discretion of the commission to determine, a company that is in Nugegoda Junction or Mullatiu Junction or somewhere else to operate, the way it seems to be operating now. Right. So, I mean, from your point of view, I have no issues. You are trying to market your product. But my real question is to the Secretary to the Treasury, Deputy Secretary to the Treasury, as to we are fine with that. But what is the cost benefit of this? How are you going to recoup the losses? So that's a fair question, not to you, Mr. Vikramasuriya, but to the Treasury.
To just follow up, Tanuja Perera, now we are encouraging export.
Just a minute, right? If you do, one moment, please.
I had to also go.
Yeah, I also don't want to go too long. But is there an answer to this question, or is this not a relevant question?
Okay, you can answer top of this also, so that everybody is. Now we are encouraging export. We have said services exempted from payee and other things. So basic idea is principally those who are operating inland, outside of Port Authority, to move in there and operate. Is that the principal idea?
And actually, sir, this is not an idea came from the tax side, because this is solely on the angle that to promote the investment in Port City, this act came into effect. This act was approved long ago, so we can't. If either we have to remove. To specifically mention this as has no applicability in the exemptions for the Port City investment. We have to specifically specify that in the law. Exactly. So without doing that amendment, we can't do, because even whether we like it or not, it was there because it was approved.
Because there is a inbuilt contradictory in that, right?
Sir.
Okay. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah. So I don't think we can resolve this. But it is for DST your, consideration, tax advisors' consideration. While, we are not trying to discourage anything. These are competing interests, Mr. Vikramasuriya. Any right-thinking person would try to see whether they can get a benefit, no? Yeah. So if there is no criteria established, then and the discretion is with the commission, they can change, depending on the the relationship the person has with the A, B or C.
Yeah, I think Chairman's point was very, very valid. If you are encouraging, that's all right. Let's say we have a long-term benefit, then we must have an idea what is the year-to-year loss that we are envisaging to make, and then how are we going to recover that?
Yeah.
That's because we are asking the citizen to pay tax after tax. You all know that, okay? And then we are talking about encouraging investment and then, facilitating them taxes. So when we go to the field, we must be able to have a rational layman explanation why we are doing.
Yeah, there is one last question on this and we'll move to the next point.
Are you going to answer?
Sorry,
so
go ahead.
may I comment? So we are looking at it from a loss. So the other key difference here is we are not looking at a loss, right? If you want to do a business in the port city, yes, I mentioned names of companies that have already presence in Sri Lanka. But what I also clearly stated is they are looking at doing new business activities, right? Business activities that they most likely would go and do out of Dubai or Singapore or wherever, or America for that matter, right? To do that business activity, you have to actually bring in new dollars because the Act is again very clear, section 27, paragraph 4.
I do agree with you. I do really agree with you. At our level, hang on a bit. At our level, we can say this. Another 5 years' time, the investment is coming. Our hard currency will be there, our reserves will go up, therefore we don't have to have taxes on the all these goods and services, and we will hopefully, like in Alberta, like some other places, we want to have a state where we don't tax our citizens, okay? But that's a hypothetical thing, no? But I'm saying, when we say this to them, they say, okay, when? Is it 2048? Is it 2038? Those are things that we have people had to answer.
Yeah,
you see, you are saying, well and good, we are doing all these things, tighten the belt, you pay the tax, we are giving international companies tax holiday. Because one day we see there is an investment coming, therefore the whole country, the state as an economic state will improve. But then that has to be materialized, no? When?
Yeah, I mean, I think this, we can argue till the cows come home.
Yeah,
but
Honorable Chair, just one more question. Now, okay, till whatever date into 2027, this facility will be extended to promote investment into the zone, is it? You are given a deadline.
Yeah, transitionary provision.
But now the issue will be, there will be other economic zones like BOI zones and industrial zones. The country will want investment to come into those as well. But investor walking into the country will always give priority to investment in port city than investing in those areas. So, for a period of whatever number of years that you may decide, the entire
I mean, there is a fundamental issue, no, DST, and we are operating under two regimes. Right? One regime you have to pay tax, other regime you don't have to pay tax. So my sort of layman question is, if I have a software company, right, I have to pay taxes, various taxes, and I have a new contract coming up, Mr. Vikramasuriya, right? Let's say I am getting a new contract from some other country. Why would I take that new contract into my company that is located in Colombo 3 or 4, as opposed to registering myself in Colombo Port City and operate it out of that when I don't have to pay any taxes? So therefore, where are you expecting the growth in service exports in terms of taxes collected through not income tax but on other taxes that the government is collecting? So I know you don't have an answer to that, do you? You don't have an answer to that. So we are moving into a very conflicting situation, which I think you gentlemen and you ladies will have to sit and figure out, because at the end of the day, we are looking at Sri Lanka. Because as far as I know, Port City is a part of Sri Lanka. Right? Port City is a part of Sri Lanka. So in all, we have to maximize the benefits for Sri Lanka. Right? And when one set of employees are being taxed at a fairly high rate and others are not, there is going to be conflicts that are going to arise. There are going to be labor issues that will arise. Right? I mean, all those things will have to be considered when you and you all will have to have some answers to these tough questions. So those were the issues that are, you don't have answers for right now, but these need to be reconciled. And to close this session, Mr. Chairman, Mr. DST, how do you propose to resolve these issues? First of all, do you think these are issues that are significant, that need resolution? If no, don't worry about it. If you think these are issues that are significant and need resolution, what are your steps?
So that regular exemption එක exempt කරන්න තමයි IMF එකත් කියන්නේ. ඉතින් ඉදිරියට ඔය සර් කිව්ව ඒවා සමහර ඒවාත් exempt වෙයි. මේ issue එකේදී තියෙන ඉතින් port city act එකේ තියෙන provision එක තමයි apply වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මේක exempt නොකර මේ තියෙන provision එක සර් කියන වැඩේ කරනවාද කියන එක කරන්න අමාරුයි. මොකද අනිත් පැත්තේ මේක ඩොලර් වලින් නම් pay කරන්නේ ඩොලර් වලින් ගෙන pay tax වදින්නේ apply වෙන්නේ නැහැ. කොහොමද act එක අනුව දැන් තියෙන income tax law එක අනුව.
එතකොට pay tax එක විතරද අයින් වෙන්නේ?
pay tax නෙමෙයි මේක දැන් act එකේ තියෙනවනේ මේ දිගටම
ඔක්කොම අයින් වෙනවනේ. foreign exchange act බලපාන්නේ නැහැ, pay tax බලපාන්නේ නැහැ, VAT බලපාන්නේ නැහැ, කිසිම දෙයක් බලපාන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට මම අහන්නේ මේක cannibalization එකක් තියෙයිනේ. මේ cannibalization එකේ value එක මොකක්ද? I think somebody needs to do that. You can't just go in blindly, no. So we are going to approve this.
So there is a reporting requirement to publish this tax cost, which have by it will. I mean, the fiscal it is being done currently. So we will be able to give the tax cost coupled with this investment, all sort of tax incentive regimes.
That's very good. Have you started calculating the tax cost?
Yes.
For all exemptions.
Correct.
Including port city exemptions.
Because it's a gradual process. First we will we have to prepare the BOI and the SDPs. Then we will go for all, because the commitment is to publish all sort of investments. So it will be done in near future.
Okay, anything else? Members, no, nothing. So we will approve this, but I think there are more and more questions that are sort of arising. This is not, I think, it is our responsibility as a committee to address these issues. And it is your responsibility to come up with reasonable answers so that we can all work together. So that is the objective here, not to discourage you or not to sort of find fault. But it is our responsibility to do this. And might I add, this is going to become a problem. This is going to become a real problem, because cannibalization is going to exponentially increase when the buildings actually come up there. Why would I want to operate anywhere else? Why would I want to operate anywhere else?
Get quite a lot of nomads who are working here.
Yeah, final comment and we close.
I wouldn't look at it as cannibalization, right? So special economic zones is not new to Sri Lanka. We've got already 14 or 15 of them, right? Special economic zones are available all over the world, right? When you're a regional business looking to establish at least your regional presence, relocate, people are going to look at the optimum location to go to. And what we are trying to do is attract multinationals instead of going to Singapore or to Dubai, to try and attract them to Sri Lanka. And again, I'm saying Sri Lanka. Why? Because the port city, the 2.69 square kilometers, is a part of Sri Lanka. Yes, we have the parliament, yourselves, passed this act, giving certain provisions for businesses that are operating there. And the conditions there is two more points, sir. Is that those businesses have to bring in foreign direct investment into Sri Lanka. They cannot use any foreign currency that is already in the banking system in Sri Lanka, which is absolutely new, whether it was concessions granted to BOI, STP, etc. So this is a key provision here. And it is also mandating that the staff be paid in foreign currency, which also means that a majority of the sales revenue has to come into Sri Lanka, because what we've seen is companies receive tax incentives, companies say they're doing FDI, but they go in and tap into the banking system in Sri Lanka. They park some of their dollars overseas and bring in only a little bit of the dollars to meet their salary requirements in rupees, etc. So therefore,
I think you are just speculating, and I don't think that is fair, because to say they only bring in a little bit is not an accurate statement. Because we have heard many.
I withdraw that comment.
You better withdraw that.
I
because
withdraw
that's
that
completely, that's
noted.
irrelevant.
I withdraw that. But again, what we are trying to do is make
that is
this
an accusation you can't really prove.
I
Right?
withdraw
and
that.
unfortunately, this happens a lot on the political stage. People say these things and they give dollar amounts and so on, which is inaccurate. So therefore,
I withdraw that comment, sir.
Yeah, you can. But my point is, there is going to be cannibalization, the way I see it.
Possible.
Because expansion would then move to a
Port
place
city.
where that is better suited in terms of less taxes, less hassle. So you will benefit, but somebody else will lose. So if it's a zero-sum game, then we have a problem, right? But if you are adding to the pie, we have no issue. So
Justice by your organization.
But I am Sri Lankan government, sir. So if the port city benefits, Sri Lankan government benefits.
Well, that is what we really want to see, whether that is happening. Thank you very much. Still, I haven't adjourned. If you want to make a comment on how your weekend's road shows went with Mr. Cameron appearing for you. නෑ හොඳට වුණාද අපි දැනගන්න කැමති මේක සාර්ථක වුණාද කොහොමද කොච්චර සෙනග ආවද මොකද්ද ඒකේ උයි ජනාධිපතිතුමා චීනට ගිහිල්ලා අපි දැක්ක පත්තරවල තියෙන 1.5 billion dollars investments එනවා එහෙම කියලා port city එකට ඒ කියන්නේ මොකක් හරි සතුටුදායක ආරංචියක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒකත් අපිත් එක්ක බෙදා ගන්න කියලා ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා Mr. Susapille, you are the chief man now here now, commission member.
I wasn't there either, and I really didn't work on it. He was more involved in it, so I'll just can briefly say something about Dubai. I think you can say something.
Yeah, I can comment on the UAE road shows. Those were the first meetings that were done after the passing of the various regulations, specifically for the tax exemptions and incentives. There was about 90 to, I would say, about 100 people in the UAE show and about 200 or little more in the Dubai show event. There were a number of positive comments made. At the next stage, they've sort of, the project company is tying down and having more focused meetings as follow-ups to that. We are positive and we are hopeful that on the back of that, there would be significant interest from Indian and Middle Eastern companies to come in and acquire or lease land and then also set up businesses. China, yes, as much as we know, there was that framework agreement executed to potentially look at $1.5 billion of additional investment to doing the vertical constructions, which is absolutely critical at this stage, because as you all say, we need to see the buildings start coming up.
Yeah, just one, finish, but just one technical point. On Regulation 7, if authorization is provided, the authorized person shall adhere to the following two conditions. One, shall not engage in business for the sole purpose of transacting business with either of the above entities. B, shall generate more than half of the total revenue of his business from business transaction with other people. So Regulation 7A is a little unclear. Can you explain that?
Yeah,
That's
so
a technical question we have.
Yes, sir. So the idea is to look at regional businesses, global businesses, to come in and relocate their offices from a Singapore or a Dubai to Sri Lanka, okay, within the port city, be located there. When they come in, right, we expect, so if you're a regional office sitting in Singapore, you could be servicing clients in Sri Lanka as one of your jurisdictions. So when they come in here, we expect them to actually continue to doing business with all other parties, right, and not only business with Sri Lankan businesses. So that is why provision A, we don't want them to move here and then only do business with Sri Lankans. And the reason for that is then we would see all the revenue that they generate from the branch within the port city come into the Sri Lankan banking system and thereby significantly increase the foreign currency liquidity.
Okay.
Provision 2 is we put a
provision 2
percentage.
is, that's okay.
Percentage
The provision 1 was the clarification. And one small one, Regulation 14 citizens or residents of Sri Lanka can utilize retail facilities or services by an authorized person by making payments in Sri Lanka rupees. Then what about the duty-free facilities? Does it mean that Sri Lankans are unable to purchase items on the duty-free facilities even if they are able to pay in foreign currency?
So the duty-free is going to be in foreign currency. So that's the exemption there.
There is an exemption.
Yeah. And that's no different to the duty-free currently operating in the BIA. You pay in dollars.
So when people, now with the new regulations, people will come and buy duty-free items from the Fort outlet rather than the Katunayaka outlet.
It would be another outlet, so they can decide on whether they buy in the Katunayaka outlet or the port
But
city.
I would assume that the Colombo Fort outlet will have lot more stuff.
Yeah, yes, the product list would be different
Are
to
they the
what.
same people who operate it? The people at Katunayaka, there are some 2 companies now operating in Katunayaka.
Yes, that's correct.
Are those the same people who will operate
They
here?
didn't show interest in operating one within the port city, and the operators are internationally large operators.
So in other countries also, does it happen? That means there are duty-free shops outside, like complexes outside the airport?
There are a couple of Yunnan, and even Sri Lanka had a complex outside of the airport as well.
Those are the old days?
Yes, so there are, even as of now, there are complex.
How, I mean, will they compete, how will they, again, the cannibalization thing, how will, I mean, would more people come to the Fort outlet, or have you all done a study to assess whether...
The operators believe with the product categorization of, I would say, of a higher end and a higher a value proposition for the ones in the duty-free, that's envisaged in the port city. And that again targeting to possibly tourists and the likes that are sort of going out.
Yeah, now, did the finance ministry look at what might happen? People might just come there, buy the stuff from the port city, come outside and sell it, no?
No, can I? Sorry, again, the regulations applicable for this duty free are no different to the regulations that are applicable by the customs to all duty free operators. You have the products and you have quantities. So if you can buy 2 watches at the BIA and or even in Singapore and you bring it in, it's the same restriction allowed, same guidelines that are
Those
applicable.
are changing now, the labor ministry.
So the regulations are the same. It won't be any different.
The limits have been increased, no? It has come to this committee.
Whatever the limits are that are applicable and published by the customs would be applicable here as well. There's no differentiation on that. So if it changes, reduces, increases, it's the same.
Okay.
Once a year, one person can, to buy the duty free, there are limitations placed on that.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. Then these are approved, but we will give the Attorney General's Department 4 weeks to come up with this. And I would want to, ask the AG's department to take a look at this, the cryptocurrency matter, and provide us with some advice as to how we should move in the situation where not just the cryptocurrency, where there is no local regulator. How should we move this?
It's a policy matter, Honorable Chair. It's not a legal issue, because if the access, the regulations, applicable regulations apply and there are no regulations, that's a reality. But because there are 2 government agencies here, I think the Commission has to be sensitive to what the central bank says, because the central bank, if I read further, in fact says, discourages and says this is not of national interest engaging in cryptocurrency. So then that's a policy matter, not a legal matter.
Members, shall we direct the Governor Central Bank to respond on this matter and let advise us on how to proceed, because
that can be detrimental to the investor also.
No,
If the central bank,
No, it's not a legal issue.
It's a policy matter.
Because I'm just let me read that portion which I didn't. Cryptocurrencies operate through informal channels and therefore it does not contribute to the national economy and can also cause a loss of valuable foreign currency to the country. So that's the central bank stand, not a legal issue.
Yeah. So, and also, what if they start a commodities exchange? Right? Now, who would regulate a commodities exchange? Right? So, all kinds of things that we don't have a regulation to do, just because it is not, I mean, it doesn't exist, does it then automatically, go to the commission to use their discretion? That is what's happening now, no, in this particular case. In this particular case, the commission has used its own discretion to approve. They could have not approved also.
And
they could have approved also.
Yeah.
Now you have approved 2 cryptocurrency exchanges. So what I'm saying is there would be other things also. So whether we need some direction. Yeah, that's all.
Sorry, if I can add, the commission does approve things looking at the national interest and when everything is approved. So even when the cryptocurrencies were approved, they did show they have a forecast given in possible foreign exchange flows into the country. The central banks...
I am not willing to accept that because I think the central bank has a much more deeper understanding of these matters rather than commission members. And if the central bank issues a regulation or notice to the public that it may actually cause a negative impact, then I am going to actually go with the central bank's opinion rather than your opinion, Mr. Vikramasuriya. Nothing personally against you, but these are technical experts who are working on that matter for a living. So let us request the governor to let us know, advise us as to how this committee should proceed when regulations come to us to be approved, given, if these companies are operating in otherwise regulated environments in other countries, but not regulated here. I mean, the classic case is the casinos. This committee took a very, very hard stand that we are not going to approve licenses unless a regulator is established. So this committee has taken that stand and the government has agreed with this committee's position on that. So we are dismissed. Thank you very much. We wish you all the best.
AsianMirror.lk